Hi guys, I'm Daniel, currently working as Management Trainee Executive at Malaysia Aviation Group, and this is Lepas Sekolah.
So Daniel, you went to a fully residential school growing up. Where was that and how was the experience like for you?
I was schooling at Sekolah Menengah Sains Sultan Iskandar. It was a boarding school in Johor, in Mersing particularly. So it was a great experience there because back then I was Ketua Asrama. I was PRS as well, Pembimbing Rakan Sebaya. So I think that growing up from Form 1 until Form 5 there, it had built up my character in terms of self-esteem, discipline, and of course confidence, in which I think is a really good development to shape myself today.
So how has your experiences in boarding school and the characters you've developed helped you become successful as a person today, whether it be in terms of your career, your education, or any of your endeavors?
Well, I believe that living in a boarding school had made me become more independent. By having this kind of characteristic, it helped me to solve my own problems, finding ways to achieve what I want, and I think that that's a great personalities of like everyone to have.
So you said you were a Ketua Asrama and you were a PRS member in school. It sounded like you did a lot of extracurricular activities and took on a lot of leadership roles as well. Why did you do this? What were the things that you did in school?
All right. So other than being Ketua Asrama PRS, I also actively joined debat pertandingan bahas. I joined pertandingan bahas parliamentary like almost every year since I was in Form 3. So why I joined this kind of stuff is because I know what I want to do. Because after XPM, I really want to study abroad. And it's very important for you to be active, not active in curriculum, okay? Because you just don't want to be ace in examination, but you are not an active person. You can't contribute to your scholars after you finish your contract, for example. So I know what I want to do. So that's why I'm actively joined the co-curricular activities other than I'm focused on my study for my SPM as well.
We'll come back to that later when we talk about a scholarship. But as far as I know, you did very well in SPM, right? Did you get straight A's?
Well, unfortunately, no. I got 8 A's out of 11, but I managed to get a scholarship to UK under JPA because I believe that many people out there do not know that actually you do not need to get straight A's to get a scholar as long as you meet the minimum requirement of the current years and you need to be active in school.
How did you manage to excel in both worlds?
First of all, I would say it's all about passion. Okay, so when you have passion, you know the direction on how to achieve both. Okay, because everything you do in this world, as long as you have passion and purpose, you can achieve anything that you want.
All right. So, echoing back to your statement about scholarships, what made you stand out amongst the sea of applicants then to get like a very competitive JPA scholarship?
I think it's all about being confident because during the interview, what I identify is out of all applicants, most of them are not being confident of their answer. Regardless of you know or you not know about the questions, it's all about how you're trying to be confident answering the questions. But it must be relatable, of course. When you're being confident, people can believe in you, and that's the way you can like secure your offer. So yeah.
And what was the course offered to you by JPA?
So I study politics and international relations.
Did you have a choice in the subject that you chose?
Yeah, I was under social science courses. So there's a selection of options that I can choose. For example, accounting, psychology, economy. But when I'm taking my IB, I just know that I can't do account and economy. So that's why I'm doing politics. Because, echoing back to my background, I do debate. So I think that it's relatable and it's aligned with my passion.
So, it was not just a choice out of elimination, you were actually passionate about your course.
Yeah, because okay, to be honest, when I'm first applying for politics and international relations, I do not know about what the courses will be, but I just know that it's gonna talk about world, it's gonna talk about crises or politics and something like that, and I think that that's what make me want to apply for this course.
So, you said just now that you did the International Baccalaureate or the IB. Where did you do this?
Well, I did in Kolej Banting.
Did you have a choice in either your pre-U course or your pre-U college?
Well, unfortunately, because I'm a JPA scholar at that time, while JPA offers international baccalaureate program only at KMB during my time lah.
So did you make the choice to do the IB program?
If I have a choice, I would rather to choose easier route. For example, like A level or matriculation, for example. But due to these circumstances, I need to endure IB, and luckily I'm an IB survivor.
So you said the IB program was hard and you call yourself a survivor. Why was it particularly challenging for you?
Well, I believe that all students who took IB will know this term, which is IB fighter and IB survivor. Why? Because IB is very hard because it testing you to be all-rounded. It's not focusing on examinations, but it's also testing on your critical thinking, because we need to do this kind of research on mini thesis in our internal assessment, extended essay, and we also need to satisfy the community project. We call it as CAS. So yeah, that's why it is a tough PRU program, but after all, it's satisfying.
Do you remember what subjects you do?
Yeah, I do HL English, business and management, and also economics. Whereas for the standard level, I did ESS, environmental system and society. I do Malay literature, and also I did mathematics.
Do you happen to remember what you did for your extended essays, your internal assessments, and your CAS?
When I'm doing my extended AC, EE, I'm trying to do something that I like, because extended essay you need to invest a lot of time on it. So I did Malay A, which is a Malay literature. So I'm doing research about the satire element in a novel named Tenggelamnya Kapal Banduik. So it's very satisfying because it can help me to understand more about the novel, and also I can apply what I learned in class about the Malay literature to my study.
Considering how challenging the IB was, do you think it equipped you well before going into university to face like the university environment?
Well, of course, because in IB, you need to do a lot of academic writing. For example, in your extended essay, your IAs, you need to do citation, you need to research papers, and it is an important element you need to do in university. So compared to people who are taking A-level, for example, they're not doing this kind of stuff during their PU. You can see that they are facing struggle in writing academic paper. At that time, I just realized that, oh, I'm feeling grateful for taking IB because it saves me a lot of time.
So if you could turn back time, would you do it again?
Of course not. Because like I would say that all IB survivors will not repeat their IB years, because it's very tough. In only 2 years, there's a lot of components that you need to satisfy in order for you to pass the minimum requirement for you to fly abroad as well.
So to someone making the choice between IB and other programs, you would advise them to?
I would say that this one you need to reflect on yourself, because all I can say that when you are taking IB, you need to be well-rounded. Okay, if you're thinking that you can only focus one thing at a time, so you need to enroll in A-level, because in A-level you only need to focus in examinations. But when you are taking IB, you need to literally thinking a lot of things at one time. You need to do your assessment, you need to do your research, and at the same time you need to do your community project as well. So it depends on yourself.
And how did you end up doing for IB?
Luckily, I passed. Okay, so for minimum requirement, JPA set to fly abroad is 35 points for IB, and I managed to get 38
And that's out of 41, right?
out of 45.
Out of 45.
Yeah.
So that 38 is a really high average, isn't it?
I would say that it's above average, because during my time, the world average IB point score is 34.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
You
thank you.
exceeded world average.
Yeah.
So following your excellent results, you end up going to the Uni of Manchester to do politics and international relations. Out of any university, why Manchester?
I'm type of person that need the support system when I'm facing difficulties. And I know that Manchester has a very large Malaysian communities. So by enrolling in a University of Manchester, I know that I have someone to rely on when I'm facing difficulties. I will not feel homesick as well. So that's one of the factor that's why I'm playing for Manchester.
Following that, would you like to tell us a story about a time when you face a difficult challenge and you leverage your support system to overcome that challenge?
Oh, I think that I would like to recall the time when in the middle of writing my final year dissertation. So at that time I was very confused of finding ideas to write my dissertation. I feel so lucky because I have a very supportive housemates that I can just rant all the day, and they also help me to brainstorm ideas, and finally I managed to get it done.
You were a fairly active person in school and you did a very rigorous pre-university program. I assume you'd have accomplished a lot of things in university. What would you say is your most proudest moment or your most proudest accomplishment?
Well, I think that my proudest moment is when I managed to build my own self gig F&B business, because at that time I can't believe that actually in a very tiny house, in a very minimum size of kitchen, I managed to cater tons of packed food to be sold to Malaysian communities there, raising hundreds of revenues, and it's something that I'm quite proud of.
So you are currently a leap executive at Malaysian Aviation Group. Could you tell us what a leap executive is and how does Malaysian Aviation Group differ from, the broader Malaysia Airlines universe?
All I can say that LEAP itself is like a mini aviation diploma that you take, because we need to undergo a 3-year training before we can be promoted into assistant manager. So in these 3 years, what we did is we will be rotated into different business unit, and we need to learn the foundation of the business about the aviation industry, so we are ready to help the business in the future.
All right, so how does MAG differ from Malaysia Airlines and the broader universe?
So MAG is actually a holding company, and it consists of 3 business pillars, which is aviation services, airline businesses, and also loyalty services. So for aviation services, we had MAB Academy, Aerodirect. We also have MAB Engineering and MAGCS, which is the culinary solutions. For airline business, we have Malaysia Airlines, Firefly, Amal, and also currently we do have Masping, which will later acquired by the Sarawak government into Air Borneo. And then for loyalty services, we have Enrich, we have MH Holidays, and Genify.
So how does that translate to your role as leap executive then? Does this mean you will be rotated around the businesses?
Yeah, all I can say that being a lead is a privilege, because you can rotate across business units in which you will not stay in one company for a very long time. You can experience different environment, different working culture in different company within the group, which can help you to grow.
So could you explain what you're currently doing in your current rotation?
Well, currently I'm in MAB Academy. We're focusing on in training cadet pilots and incoming cabin crew. So other than doing operations, I also involved in PMOs, which is project management. I'm involved in doing events and protocol stuff.
So what's your current job description like?
As a first year management trainee, so what we are focusing on is understanding the business culture, about understanding the industry, and learn as much as we can about the business function that we're in the first year.
So what do you enjoy the most about the job you do now?
When you have that flexibility to do anything that you want and to learn anything that you are willing to. Because, for example, currently in MAB Academy, I can learn to organize events. I can learn about being in operations. I can also learn about cabin crew and cadet pilots training. So unlike normal executive, they are very rigid to their day-to-day work. So I would say that for being a lead, it's a golden opportunity for you to be robust and to learn a lot of things in the industry.
What was the biggest mindset shift you had to do transitioning from being a student to being a young executive?
Well, transitioning from students to a young executive is about how you manage to be more mature in terms of decision making, in terms of your upbringing and self characteristic. Because being an executive in a corporate company, you are the ambassador of the company. So whatever you do, online and offline, will reflect the company's identity. So it's very important for you to take care of your characteristic, your upbringing, your personality, because after all, it will give impact not to yourself but also the company itself.
Now that you're part of Malaysia's biggest airline company, what is one interesting thing that you learned about the aviation or airline industry?
Well, I can say that as a passenger and as a worker or as a staff of an airline company, there will be different perspective that you can see once you're in the airport. Okay, because when you become a normal passenger, all you can see is just you check in, and then you go through security, you get on the flight, and then you arrive to your destination. But when you become the staff of an airline company, you need to consider about above the wing and below the wing. And what is that? Above the wing is anything that related to the airport up until the cabin. Whereas for the below the wing, it's all about anything that happens from the baggaging to the engineering and all that thing you need to understand in order for the airline business to operate. And I think it's fascinating because after you being a staff, it's literally mind blowing because you can understand airline business more.
Would you say this experience then has cultivated a deep interest in the industry for you?
Of course, because by understanding how the airline business works, you know if anything happens, for example, the delays. You cannot just blame the cabin crew or the pilot for not making the airplane move because you will understand like what's the causes of the delay. You will be more appreciative of what the airline does lah.
Then, just for fun, what is one cause of delay that you've come to learn about in your time in MAG?
Well, the major reason is because of the weather, because I believe that we all know that Malaysia has a very strong storm and it can cause the harm if the plane depart. That's the first reason. And I think that the second major reason of why the plane delayed is because of Annex 90. So what is Annex 90? So Annex 90 is when one passenger that has been checked in, their luggage, but they were not in the plane. So what happened is we need to offload their check-in luggage off the plane before the plane can depart because there's a potential that the luggage contain bomb which can bring hazard to the passengers.
Oh, that's actually fascinating. Considering how competitive the LEAP program is and how competitive it is to get to the Malaysian Aviation Group to begin with, it already is. What is the advice that you would give to someone who's looking to get a job in the future?
To those who are interested to become LEAP in the future, all I can say is you need to be strong, not only physically, but mentally. Because people have a very high expectation on you. You need to create value to the company. You need to do something different, something unique, something that can add value to the company.
Going down the line, because you are able to rotate within the next 2 years, what are you looking to specialize or pivot into?
Actually, my interest is more about airport services and also in-flight services. So currently I'm doing trainings, but I'm eager to learn more about airport services, about the pipeline of customer ordering ticket up to they check in into the plane. So I want to learn more about that thing, and that's what I want to do in my second and third year perhaps.
To wrap this up, how would you describe your journey in Lepas Sekolah in 3 words?
Unpredictable, memorable, fascinating. My name is Daniel, and this is Lepas Sekolah.